New year, same questions. How long will lockdown be this time? Anyone know any good recipes for banana bread? Well, here's the ultimate question. How is this the same company that runs Monday Night Raw? This is NXT New Year's Evil Graded. Dexter Lumis is the host of New Year's Evil. The show starts with him in an empty Capitol Wrestling Center, pressing some buttons on the production desk. He then pulls a lever, which fills it with people, turns the lights on, starts the music, and gives him a lovely velvety jacket. Very nice indeed. Opening match is Damian Priest versus Karrion Kross. Of course, Kross powerbombed Damian Priest through the stage just before Christmas. And we're going to get the payoff to this right now. Big tie-up to start. Both guys are like bulls locking up and they fall out of the ring while staying in the lockup. Heavy strikes as well from both to get us underway good and proper. Kross takes the lead with a big overhead suplex, but as he's wearing into Priest, Priest is smiling, saying, "I'm still standing." He breaks into an Elton John song after that shortly. He doesn't. It's wishful thinking. This leads Damian Priest to start a comeback. He lands a flatliner. Actually gets quite a bit of offense in on Kross, but his ribs get damaged, which means that he couldn't lift Karrion Kross for the broken arrow. He maintains some control despite that, but we see Kross push back as they exchange big kicks. We see Kross clattering Priest with an exposed knee in the Tree of Woe position. Priest countering a superplex attempt, barely manages to get the razor's edge for a very near fall. He lands south of heaven for a very near fall as well. Goes for the reckoning, but Kross manages to counter. He lands a powerbomb, another near fall from him. They fall outside the ring where Kross drives Priest into the scaffolding and then slams him on the steel steps. Back in the ring, Damian Priest is back on his feet. And he's still standing. He's smiling, saying, "I'm still standing." He's broken, he's wounded, but he's still up. And Karrion Kross responds with a Doomsday Saito. And Damian Priest gets to his feet after that, but he's in like the dizzy position. This is basically that moment in Mortal Kombat where it says, "Finish him!" And Karrion Kross runs across the ring with a forearm and gets the 1, 2, 3. Clean win by Karrion Kross in our opening match over Damian Priest. I'm giving it a B+. It was a strong showing from both of the lads. Kross very much en route to the top once again. So he had to win this one. There's been a lot of talk about what Damian Priest is up to this year. Rumours of him possibly turning up on SmackDown sooner rather than later. So this could even be the swan song of Damian Priest. Wishing the best of luck on the SmackDown if that is the case. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong are putting over Breezango, their opponents in the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And they say tonight is all about Kyle O'Reilly becoming the NXT champion. Interesting combo, Adam Cole and Roddy in the tournament. Obviously, Bobby Fish is out for a while, so we'll see what these two do as a team. And the Cruiserweight Championship is on the line next as Santos Escobar puts it on the line against Gran Metalik. First time I get to talk to you about Lince Dorado's Megazord-inspired attire. I love this. I'd like to think that if he got into real trouble in a match, he could blow on a whistle and somebody would come out dressed as Dragonzord and they'd lock on. And then if he was still in bother, somebody would come out of the water dressed as Titanus. Have I taken this too far? I've probably taken this too far. Escobar and Metalik used to be a tag team in Mexico. They reference this on commentary. This is their first one-on-one match. And we see Metalik win the first couple of exchanges. He's doing all right from the start. He lands a stunning Acai moonsault in the early going. Gets a near fall off a somersault senton as well. Escobar manages to counter a Hurricane Rana attempt on the apron and just swings him pendulum style into the barricade. During the break, they continue to wear down. He continues to wear down on the ribs and the back of Gran Metalik. From the break, we see him drop Metalik sort of ribs first onto the top rope. Look, brutal that did. Metalik had a few comeback attempts cut off. He finally starts to push back with a beauty of a springboard splash. He goes for a springboard attack in the ring, but takes a second to adjust his mask. That makes all the difference, because as he finally dives into the ring, he gets a big high knee from Escobar for a near fall. They even point out on commentary that, He took too long adjusting his mask. That split second made all the difference. They end up fighting in the corner at one point, and Metalik is trying to counter what Santos is planning. And Santos starts pulling on the mask of Escobar, it seems, and Metalik's mask almost comes off. Santos kicks Metalik off the top rope and he lands onto the apron. Looks like Legado del Fantasma are going to get amongst it here. But here's Lince Dorado, the Megazord, with a big old flying dive off of the steel steps to wipe them out. In the ring, Metalik hits a springboard Hurricane Rana. Looks like he's back in pole position for this one. Goes back up top, but he gets stopped on the top rope by Santos Escobar, who hits that double underhook neck breaker, the Legado, and then hits a phantom driver for the clean 1, 2, 3. Cleanish 1, 2, 3. This was a B+. Really good stuff here. Really fun match that once again establishes Santos Escobar as the top of the division. We need to reference 205 Live more when it comes to NXT and the Cruiserweight Championship, because loads of stuff goes down towards the Cruiserweight Championship on 205 Live, but we don't talk about it. Like, they barely reference it. You could do something with that. I really believe that you could. We get a recap of Mercedes Martinez attacking Io Shirai last week. It looks as if Mercedes is next in line to face Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. Never mind that, because we go back to the CWC and there is smoke billowing everywhere, and we see this mysterious person in a throne, the one that has been putting Xia Li and Boa through their paces. And this person's got the mask on, an evil stare. And they say, Hulk Hogan's monster truck. Nah, that's the wrong decade. And as the camera pans out, we see Boa and Xia Li at the side of this mysterious person in the throne. Both have a new look. Boa looking like something off of the Matrix, which is a strong look. Xia Li has brand new ring attire and an intensity that is palpable. So we have in-ring Xia Li. First time we're seeing her wrestle since her dealings with the Master and whoever is operating this whole thing. We've had several weeks of these amazing packages which show Boa and Xia Li being sort of pushed right to the brink to make them stronger. And here we see the new look Xia Li in action against Katrina Cortez. This is all Xia Li. She is striking the face off of Katrina Cortez. At one point, Cortez gets a punch in and it doesn't affect Xia Li at all. She looks livid, and you see Katrina almost recoil at the thought of, I just hit her with a move and nothing happened. Xia Li wipes out Katrina Cortez. Several punches are swung, but every single one is countered. Spinning roundhouse takes off Cortez's head for the 1, 2, 3. And that is the return, the rebirth of Xia Li. Heads back up the ramp, stands next to the mysterious person in the throne. Oh, now, this goes against what I normally do, because this is clearly an exhibition match, but I'm giving this an A. This is a build-up of so many weeks of great promos and great vignettes. And here we are with this new Xia Li, who genuinely looks like she's about to take over the world. To go from somebody who was very much this time last year, a bit of like an afterthought, somebody that we'd throw into matches here and there and everywhere, suddenly, front and centre, this is a unit that is going to take on the world. And I love the presentation of this. I've loved every step of the Xia Li and Boa thing. I'm giving this an A. I'm excited for what is going to happen with Xia Li and Boa going into 2021. I told you last year Boa was good. I told you in that tier video Ross and I did. Told you. William Regal reveals that as a result of Timothy Thatcher being injured, there will be no fight pit tonight between Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. They'll settle their differences down the road. We cut from that to Mackenzie Mitchell talking to Bronson Reed, who talks about coming back from injuries and promises to bring the intensity in 2021. He then puts his money on Rhea Ripley winning the last woman standing match, and as if by magic, that match happens next. It is Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez, last woman standing. Gonzalez wearing out Ripley almost from the off. Gonzalez smack-talking Ripley at one point whilst referencing the matching tattoos they got back when they were mates. This sort of fires up Ripley. She starts to push back here with a Singapore cane. She attempts a dive off the steel steps, but Gonzalez clatters her with a steel chair to slow her down. They continue fighting around the ringside area where Ripley handcuffs Gonzalez to the barricade, and she's going to wear her out with a cane, it seems like, but Gonzalez boots her in the gut, and then Gonzalez pulls the handcuffs off of the wall and then uses them as sort of rudimentary knuckle dusters, which is quite intriguing. But Gonzalez is really dominant throughout this, wearing out Ripley with the cane at one point. Just batters her around the ring here. Ends up back body dropping her into the announce table, and Ripley lands like small of the back first on the announce table. It looked brutal. She then chucks all the detritus left over on the announce table on top of Ripley. The chairs, the bits of table left over. Hopefully trying to keep her down for 10, but Ripley manages to break the count, and the match continues. The fight ends up going all the way up the ramp. Gonzalez dominating, really, until Ripley drives Raquel through a door backstage. Glass going everywhere, and this puts Ripley in control. As the match spills out and further into the building, we see Ripley lay Gonzalez out onto the catering table and hit a cannonball senton off the top of the locker, which was a great little moment. Both Ripley and Gonzalez managed to break the count after going through the catering table, but here's Dakota Kai out of nowhere, who starts attacking Ripley with a Singapore cane. Ripley is able to fight off Dakota Kai and ends up shoving her into a locker and puts a shipping container in front of the locker to stop Kai getting out. Some say she is still in that locker. They fight back onto the ramp area, and we see Ripley put the prism trap with a steel chair wrapped around Gonzalez's head. Gonzalez manages after a while to push Rhea Ripley away, and Ripley bangs into the stage. Looks like Gonzalez is going to take out Ripley, charges at her while she's getting back to her feet, but Ripley turns it into a sort of running Death Valley driver that sends Gonzalez crashing into the LED screen. At that point, somebody boots up broken_screen.mov, and the screen starts glitching out. Gonzalez manages to recover, hits a flipping one-arm powerbomb through the stage, where they both go crashing through this pit. We see Gonzalez climb out, just about meeting the 10 count. Ripley doesn't get back up. Gonzalez wins this last woman standing match. And during the break, we see referees and medical people come and help Rhea Ripley out. But Gonzalez is standing tall. This was an A+. These two are magic together. They had a great showing before the end of last year. And once again here, they managed to do great things together, and they up the ante as well. I love the work they've done together. Raquel Gonzalez, really going to be somebody to watch in 2021. Rhea Ripley, despite losing here, this was a hell of a battle. Whatever both do next, they're on to great things. As Ripley is being helped to the back, a motorcade leads the way to the CWC. Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Austin Theory, and Indy Hartwell are out, and they are celebrating Johnny Gargano being able to reverse the curse, successfully defending his North American Championship. And to mark the occasion, he is presented with a plaque from Candice LeRae with the date in which he reversed the curse. Then Austin Theory presents him with a beautiful cartoon drawing of all four of them as superheroes. Austin Theory saying that Gargano is basically a real-life superhero. Johnny Gargano then announces that he and Austin Theory are entering the Dusty Tag Team Classic. Before the celebration can continue, we have Shotzi Blackheart in her tank heading out to the ring. Austin Theory calls her Mike Wazowski and starts marching up the ramp to send her packing. And we see Shotzi Blackheart launch a missile from the tank straight into the pecker of Austin Theory. A fight ends up breaking out here with Shotzi charging into the ring and sending Candice packing. Here comes Kushida out of nowhere to fend off Johnny Gargano, and then a bell rings. Everyone's a bit confused. We look to the commentation station, and stood next to them is Dexter Lumis holding the bell. Then an illustration appears on the Tron that shows Kushida and Shotzi Blackheart versus Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. How did he draw it that quickly? So we're getting a match now. It's the Garganos versus Shotzi and Kushida. Johnny and Candice both in their casual attire for this one. And Shotzi gets a good start early on, scrapping with Candice outside the ring at one point. But during the break, Candice manages to take the lead on Shotzi. It's not until Shotzi counters a rear naked choke with a backpack arm breaker that she's able to get away and get the tag tag to Kushida. The match really lights up from here. Kushida and Gargano going back and forth, with Kushida desperately trying to get that armbar locked in. At one point, he charges at the corner where Gargano is. Candice jumps in the way. She then starts putting her hair up as if she's going to square up. And this leads to Gargano charging Kushida, almost hitting Candice. But then Shotzi and Kushida manage to double team on Gargano and Candice, send them flying out of the ring. Shotzi hits a dive through the ropes that, she nearly lands on her head. Just took a right old tumble as she lands on that one. She's all right by the looks of it, which is somewhat reassuring. Back in the ring, Austin Theory tries to get involved, and Kushida brings him into the match, and he ends up in the corner. Gargano charges at Kushida. Kushida moves out of the way, and Gargano goes flying into the bowels of Austin Theory. Shortly after this, Kushida rolls up Gargano for the 1, 2, 3. Big win for Kushida and Shotzi. Lots of fun in this match. I'm giving it a B+. Energetic from the beginning. Really love the stuff the way you're doing. A loss doesn't affect them at all. And Kushida looked great here. Shotzi nearly killed herself on a dive. I feel like every time we talk about a Shotzi match, she ends up nearly killing herself. But I think she's all right now. Yeah, really, really fun match here. Loved it. After the announcement of NXT TakeOver on Valentine's Day, William Regal reveals that this year, because of the strength and the depth of the women's division, not only will we get a men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, but we're getting a women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic as well, which I'm quite intrigued by. There's a lot of options here in terms of teams, and you can bring in some new faces as well. So I'm excited to see how this shakes down. And we come to main event o'clock from here on, and it is the NXT Championship, with Finn Balor putting it on the line once again against Kyle O'Reilly. Balor's first match back since his jaw was broken by Kyle O'Reilly, so this seems appropriate. Back and forth grapples to start with, an intense feeling out process. O'Reilly at one point shoulder barges Finn Balor, and as Balor gets back to his feet, he's touching his jaw, he's checking his jaw, so the jaw is going to be a big talking point in this match, but not Balor's jaw, no. Solid techers early on that slowly and surely build to heavy strikes. Balor at one point kicks Riley in the head whilst Riley is biting down on the bottom rope. And this is where we see Balor just laser focus on the jaw of O'Reilly. Wade Barrett on commentary is talking about receipts and saying how after O'Reilly broke Balor's jaw, basically Balor owes him a broken jaw, and he's trying to come through on that one. Throughout the match, we see O'Reilly checking on his jaw, and every time he tries to go for a submission hold, boots to the jaw tend to be what counter it. Balor's offense pretty much solely aimed at the jaw, and it seems to be effective. O'Reilly seems to be fighting back and working on the wrist and the arm, the left wrist and the left arm of Finn Balor through most of this. He comes back with some stiff knees and some takedowns as well that continue to work on those injuries, but the jaw keeps slowing Kyle O'Reilly down. He goes for a leg lock once again. Balor counters by starting to boot him in the jaw. So O'Reilly kind of sees, okay, this isn't going to work, rolls out of the move, hits a penalty kick to the face of Balor, the force of which sends O'Reilly flying out of the ring. It was beautiful. Manages to get back just in time to break the count, and starts transitioning into multiple submission holds, trying to keep Balor on the move, basically. If he keeps a move in for too long, Balor starts to counter it, so he starts flip-flopping into multiple holds. Balor, however, able to fight back. He lands a 1916 followed by a crossface. O'Reilly breaks it by punching the injured hand and arm and wrist of Balor, and this leads to an exchange of strikes from both of them, back and forth. We see Balor hit a sling blade, a drop kick, goes up for the coup de grace. O'Reilly turns it into a superplex, followed by a brainbuster, followed by an armbar. He actually swaps the arms to keep Balor guessing. O'Reilly having to really switch up his offense throughout this to stop Balor from finding room to counter it, which I thought was really, really cool. O'Reilly gets a strike countered with a boot. It's just before this that we see that Finn Balor has somehow been bust open. It looks like it was off the brainbuster or the superplex, but Balor's now bleeding in this match as O'Reilly starts to wear him down once again. He goes to charge him in the corner, looks to maybe even be sizing up to break his jaw, because he sizes him up in the corner, sort of holds his jaw like this, and then takes a couple of steps back, charges at him, but Balor lands a boot straight into the kidneys and the liver area, that whole area which Balor worked over in their first match. The psychology in this is phenomenal. Once he's done that, Balor goes for the kill, puts an abdominal stretch on and takes O'Reilly to the ground with it and then pulls back on the jaw as well. So with the midsection wounded and the jaw battered from this match, O'Reilly taps out. And Finn Balor is the winner of the match. As the Undisputed Era come out to check on O'Reilly, Finn Balor stands over O'Reilly, who looks just despondent. But Balor is staring down, almost initially emotionless. I'm sure at one point he kind of nods, but he's just intensely staring at O'Reilly as this show goes off the air. What? A+. These guys just take the psychology to the next level with what they do. This was such a great match, just gripping from the very beginning. Was it as good as their match at TakeOver? It was a couple of degrees lower, but still very much an A+ match. Don't get me wrong. But I love the stuff they did and how they incorporated their first match into this one. A phenomenal main event. Welcome back to in-ring competition, Finn Balor. And overall, I'm giving New Year's Evil an A+. This was a great way to start the year for NXT. And it's just amazing how we watched Raw Legends, didn't we? It's a WWE show, and how they are so off the mark with so many things on Raw. They nail on NXT every time, it feels like. This was such a great show. From top to bottom, it was fun, it was engaging, it was exciting, kept me guessing for a lot of it. Really excited for what's coming for NXT in 2021. If this is where the start point is, whoa, off to the races we go. Stay safe. Love you, bye.